He, thanks for joining me today. As you know, for the Solar Plaza China Battery Tour, we are putting a lot of emphasis on creating real value for the participants and also ensure they get a VIP experience, not only during the tour, but also during the SNEC Energy Storage exhibition, which takes place the weekend before the tour. You've already experienced this type of treatment visiting SNEC Solar PV earlier this year. Could you please introduce yourself and share what stood out most for you?
Hi, Johnny, and thanks for having me. So my name is Guy Vandendungen. I am currently working for PerPetum Energy. We are a so-called develop, invest, build, own, operate company for not only solar PV, but of course more and more multi-technology, where we provide decarbonization as a service to our clients. And yes, you're right. I was indeed at the SNEC PV conference back in June 2025. And in that sense, it was, let's say, pretty amazing to see how you can be treated with this VIP treatment package that people can offer you there.
That's great to hear. So, on the professional side, did it help you to get more exposure or to build contacts?
Absolutely. So first of all, I was able to get a speaking slot, which is not that evident, which immediately gave me visibility on stage, and that also has helped me later on, not only on the fair, but also some of the factory visits I did afterwards, for example. There were also introductions being made, people that, yeah, for sure I wouldn't have bumped into myself if you're not getting the introduction to that. One of the amazing things was the opening of the Battery Council session, for example, as being the only European person on stage there, together with Solar Sean from the US, for example, with whom I later on did even a podcast on his, let's say it's more US-oriented podcast, but it's also available here in Europe. And I think it will come online pretty soon now. It was a little while ago that we did that podcast. So these are all things you can't achieve when you just go there as a visitor and pay for your ticket or just walk through the fair. You really need to get that networking visibility in there.
That definitely sounds like a good boost. So, were there also moments where you thought, this could still be better?
Yeah, one thing, but again, that's a bit personal, of course, is that I was invited for a VIP gala dinner. And you have, of course, these big round tables with, I don't know, 15, 20 people on one table. You're appointed a certain seat, so you have to be a bit lucky who's sitting next to you, if that's of any value or not. I'm not sure the people were positioned next to me or I was positioned next to the people, to be honest. But only after, let's say, the dessert had been given, people were starting to walk around a little bit and you could interact with people. I prefer more this kind of more casual receptions, let's say, where you can walk around, exchange cards, people wearing visible tags, who is who. But again, that's a very personal thing. I know that a lot of people enjoy this kind of gala dinners as well. And to be clear, I wasn't complaining about the food. Was outstanding.
Yeah, that's really valuable feedback. And thanks. I remember during our last conversation, you also said that some small details can make a big difference, right?
Yes, absolutely. So when visiting the fair, for example, I was appointed two assistants to help me out and arrange things for me. And for example, one thing is having your name pronounced correctly in Chinese, which then immediately makes the reception hostess of that booth, for example, aware of who you are. You're also getting referred to the right person. I did it once myself, and I ended up with the wrong person because I pronounced the name not in the wrong, in the wrong way. So from that perspective, but it's not just that they were taking care of my jacket when I was warm, when I was getting goodie bags, for example, they were carrying that for me. So I could really focus on the business side and was completely relieved of all the burden that comes around it with that. I had a very tight schedule organized. Yeah, and let's say typically, to give you an idea, I had 11 meetings in one day organized on SNEC, which is very tight. I can guarantee you that. But when I was doing one meeting, they were already preparing, okay, where do we need to go for the next meeting? What's the shortest way to get there? So make sure I get there in time, keeping a bit track of time, etc. So it really puts you at a lot more ease and focus on what you really want to achieve. And in that way, it's becoming very, very valuable.
Yeah, I love that. It shows that a VIP treatment is not about luxury. It's really more about freeing up your time and getting you some headspace so that the people actually can focus on what matters. Now, looking ahead, if you were to give advice to the participants who will join us at the battery tour or at SNEC to meet suppliers in China, so how can they best prepare to make most of the tour?
First of all, and this sounds quite logic, but know what you want. What is your objective? Why are you going to this fair? And depending on that reason, you can have a different kind of visit on this one. Secondly, make sure that you know who you want to meet and make as much as possible appointments upfront. I'm not saying it's not possible to do it at that moment, but it gives you a lot less flexibility in that sense. Thirdly, be in control. A bit different, let's say, with the German kind of fair, the Intersolar fair typically, that a lot of people will probably participate as well. There you really need to try to squeeze yourself into the still available slots. Here, there are sufficient people available on the booth, and tell them I will be there at that time and I want to speak to those persons, or I want to discuss these topics. Make sure that I have people being able to do that. And that worked actually quite well. So in that way, a few slots were fixed, by the way, so where we could not really move. So we fixed those ones first and then build the rest around it in a chronological way of moving through the halls as well, because that fair is huge. You don't want to go back and forth all the time. So you want to make a nice circle or something that comes close to that one to use your time as efficient as possible. So that's planning that you need to do. And last but not least, leave. I typically take for myself about 20% of free time for things that you bump into, last minute occasions, last minute invitations, that you can still put them in and say, okay, look, I have still a free time slot at that moment. If you want to meet me, okay, no problem. Let's meet up there at that given time. So in that way, you can organize your day very efficient. It's very intensive. You'll feel the tiredness in the evening, I can guarantee you that. But at the same time, you get really the maximum out of a visit like this.
That's perfectly said. Well, thanks a lot, Guy. This really helps to show what the participants can expect and also how they can prepare to get maximum value during the China Battery Tour. Are there any last words you would like to share with the audience before we go?
Yeah, of course. One thing, I love being in China. I love the culture. I love the food. It's a very important fair, but take some time to visit something, enjoy the food, enjoy the people, enjoy the culture there. There's a large business portion of side, but take at least a little bit of time every day to enjoy China as well.
Yeah, well, that's definitely something you and I have in common. So, and actually, I am considering the last day, the Saturday after the tour. That would be the 18th, if I am right, to just take those people who are still there and want to get a deep dive in China. Well, I've been there for 20 years, and there's nothing that I love more than to let people experience what China really is like. Not
Yes.
to the exhibitions, but just take them along and just experience as if I've experienced it. So I'm going to develop a program for that. So, well, thanks a lot, man. And it's great to see you again.
No
So,
problem.
and hopefully we see you then in a few weeks. Take care.
Yes. All right. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.